welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday. Hopefully you've all had fun practicing your name game from Monday. So today we're going to be working on sits and downs with your puppies. This is Jambo. He is an 8-week-old Cocker Spaniel. He's here with us for residential training at the moment, so we're going to use him as a demonstration dog today. We're actually going to demo this with 2 dogs. We're going to demo this with Jambo, who's 8 weeks old, and with our foster puppy Delta, who's 12 weeks old, to show you the differences in ages of puppy and what to expect. At 8 weeks old, you'll find your puppy isn't as switched on for learning, and you'll have some difficulties with some of the basics. So if you've got a very little puppy, like Jambo here, what I want you to start with is just getting your dog used to following a lure. So a lure is having a treat in your hand, and you're going to put it on the end of your puppy's nose. Yes, good boy. And just get him to follow the treat on the end of his nose, just a couple of paces. Yes, because luring your dog is going to form the foundations of how we're going to get our dogs to go into the sit and the down position. Yes, good boy. Here we are. Yes. And once your puppy can follow the food, this is going to make it much easier then to teach sit. So just practice this for a few minutes or a couple of days in some cases, depending on how your puppy gets on. And once your puppy can follow the food, we're going to move on to teaching the sit cue. So we're going to start with luring our dog into the position. And the way we're going to do that is going to put the treats on the end of his nose, not in my treat pouch, like so. Here we are. You're going to bring it up above his head so that his bottom goes down. You can see Jambo is a very sniffy puppy, and he's looking for treats everywhere but my hands. Here we are. What's this? Good boy. Yes. And you can see if we bring his head up, his bottom will go down. Good. And at the moment, we're not going to add a cue. Yes. We're just luring the puppy, because we don't want to add a cue to a behaviour your dog doesn't know yet. At the moment, we're just teaching him where we want him to be. Not down there. What's this? Where are we? Good boy. Yes. I'm just going to mark yes as soon as his bottom hits the floor, and then you're going to give him the treat. Good boy. Good boy. Ready? Sniffy, sniffy, sniffy. Here we are. So treat on his nose. Jambo. I know, sniffy, sniffy, sniffy. Ready? Yes. And reward. Good boy. So you can see with a small puppy like this, it's actually quite difficult for him to follow the treats, and I would only do this for a couple of minutes at a time, so do a few repetitions and then let your puppy have a bit of a rest and a play and a wee and everything else that he needs. Good boy. And I'll show you how we do this with Delta as well, so you can see the difference with a slightly older puppy. But I wouldn't add your sit cue until your puppy is really reliably going into that position, which I'll show you with Delta. I'll move on to the down with Jambo, and then we'll get Delta out. So there's quite a few different ways that we can teach our puppies to lie down. And I'm going to show you one way that I think will work best for a small puppy. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop your leg out in front of you, make a nice little bridge, and we're just going to get our puppy used to luring under our leg. Now at the moment, your puppy's just going to sail straight through, no big deal. Good boy. And you'll find what we're going to do is we're going to start lowering our leg. Not over there. That's my treat pouch. You can't have my treat pouch. Good boy. I know this might be quite a strange sensation for some puppies, so we don't want to lower our leg too fast, but we want to get your puppy used to the sensation of having, feeling something across his back as he goes under your legs. Good boy. Here we are. Good. So we're going to lure him under. Good. And you can see now he's having to get a little bit lower each time to get under my leg. So we're nearly on it going into down. Here we are. Good boy. So you can see now he's in that down position when he goes under. Here we are. So nose, lure him under, pause when he's down underneath your leg and in the down position, and reward. Good boy. So turn him around. Ready? And he's under your leg. Good boy. Yes, good boy. Here. Yes, good boy. And again, at this stage, we're not adding the down cue. We want to make sure your dog is reliably going into that position. Good boy. Before we add any words to this behaviour. Ready? Yes. Yes. Good boy. Jambo. Yes. Now we don't want to crush our puppy, so you don't want to lower your leg as he goes under. We want this to be really predictable for your puppy, that leg stays where it is when your dog is under your leg. And now that he's fairly reliably going into that down position, what I want to do is reduce his reliability on that leg, guiding him into the down position so that it's less there. So you can see now my leg is actually not really touching him all that much. Yes. And he's going into that down position nicely. Yes. So I'm still going to pause under the leg. Yes. But now the leg isn't really being used. Yeah. Yes. And now that we have that, we can see if he'll do it without my leg there. Are you ready, Jambo? Yes. So I'm marking yes as soon as his whole body goes down. So just pause with your food, don't say anything, and just wait for him to work it out. So bring the food down to the floor, wait for his whole body to go down, which might take a while, but let him work it out. Yes, good boy. If you did this and after a while your puppy still wasn't lying down, I would go back to using the leg and do a few more repetitions and then get rid of the leg. We want to get rid of the leg as quickly as we can so your puppy doesn't become to rely on it. Yes. Ready? Yes, good boy. Ready? Come here. Okay, ready? Yes, good boy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get Delta out to show you with a different puppy, to show you how it might differ with different dogs. And don't forget with this exercise, I don't want you adding any cues yet. No, don't add sit or down until you can reliably predict when your puppy is going to go into that position. I can hopefully be able to show you that a bit easier with Delta. So this is Delta. She is our 12-week-old Dutch herder puppy. She is staying with us as a foster at the moment, rescued from Ireland. I'm going to show you with Delta how we do the sits and downs with another puppy that's slightly older, a little bit more switched on than Jambo. Okay, so we're going to start with the sit position. Same as with Jambo, you're going to start with the treat on the end of the dog's nose. You're going to bring the treat up. Hopefully going to bring the treat up. Yes. Dog's bottom's going to hit the floor. We're going to mark yes when her bottom goes down. Yes. And reward. Good girl. Yes. And I'm keeping this nice and close to her nose at the moment so that she doesn't end up jumping up for the treat. So if I bring it up here, I have food here. Here we go. Yeah. You may find that your puppy starts jumping and nibbling and biting. We don't want that. So keep the treat nice and close to her nose. Up, yes, and reward. Good girl. Yes. Another way you can do this, once your puppy is now reliably going into position, is to bring the treat up. Here we are. Yeah. And out of the reach, so that then the puppy's bottom will go down without the jumping. If the puppy's not quite ready for this, which she's not, I would go back to luring nice and close to her nose. Yes. So that the puppy has a really good idea of what we want them to do. Yes. Good girl. And I'm just resetting her each time by bringing her up. Sit. Yes. So once we can predict the position, we can give the cue sit and then follow them with luring the dog into position. Sit, lure, yes, reward. Good girl. Ready? Sit. Here. Yes, reward. Good girl. It's really important that we only say the cue once, so we don't want to be going sit, 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 sit. So we're just going to get the dog's focus, say the sit cue, sit, lure, yes, reward. Good girl. Delta. Sit. Yes. Reward. Nice. Good girl. Here we are. Ready? Sit. Oops, don't fall over. Yes. Reward. Good girl. So once your puppy's reliably luring into the sit from here, and you've got this nice move into position, we're going to try and move the hand away a little bit. So I'm going to reset her here. Delta, sit, bring the hand up out of reach. So you're still bringing her head up, yes, and reward. Good girl. Delta, sit, yes, Yes, reward. And you'll see if she doesn't sit, rather than repeating the cue, I'm just going to re-lure her again. So sit. Yes, reward. Good girl. Reset. Delta. Sit. No. Here. Yes, reward. Good girl. Reset. Here we are. Good girl. Ready. Sit. Yes, reward. Good girl. Then we want to try and do this without food. So without food in my hand, I'm going to reset the dog. Sit. Yes. And then still give her the treat. So now she's getting used to doing this without the food having to be in my hands. So get her to follow your hands. There's no food here. Give the hand signal, which is this. Delta. Sit. Yes. And then give her a treat. Good girl. Nice. Good. Come here. Delta. Ready? So flat hand, there's no treats here. And don't forget now, because we've been luring, this motion here becomes your hand signal for sit. So it's really important that you keep this motion for your sit cue. So because we're luring her like this with her hand going up, this motion is sit rather than pointing. A lot of people will get into the habit of pointing at their puppies and the puppy doesn't know what that means. So make sure you show her your hand. Delta. Delta. Ready? Sit. Hey. If she doesn't pay attention, show her the food and get her focused. Here we are. There's no food down there, sweetheart. Yes. Reward. Reset. Ready? Sit. Yes. Reward. Good girl. Okay. Sit. Delta. Yes, reward. Good girl. And keep your sessions nice and short. So do this for, 2 minutes at a time, or do it with half of your puppy's breakfast if your puppy's working nicely for their own kibble, and then give your dog a bit of a break. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to down. So with Jambo, we lured him under our legs, but we're going to try a different method with Delta to see if it works. Most puppies, if they're sitting nicely, like Delta can, you can then lure the dog down. So you want to put the treat on the end of your puppy's nose, from a sit position, bring it down between their feet, and slide it really slowly, and just hold it still and wait for them to lie down. Yes, and then give them a treat when they're all completely flat. Good girl. Ready? So I'll show you again. So pop her into a sit without rewarding. Lure the dog's nose down between their front feet nice and slowly. Hold it still and wait for the puppy to put themselves into the down position. Yes, and reward. Good girl. Okay, so from the sit position, lure the puppy's nose down between her front feet. Keep it still. Yes, and reward. Good girl. Good. If you bring the treat too far forwards and too fast, you'll find this will happen. The puppy will get up. So make sure you're bringing it right down their chest. Sit. Good. Down her chest, in between her front feet, hold it still, wait for her to figure it out, yes, and reward. If your puppy can't do this, try the under the leg trick to begin with. Some puppies need that instead. You can also do this from a sofa or the top of the stairs, so you can have the dog in a sit or a stand, and as you bring it down, you can then bring the treat down slightly lower than the step or the sofa, and your puppy then is more likely to lie down. So that's another way of doing that if your puppy's really struggling. Now, adding the cue. Once you can reliably predict that your puppy is going to go into that lying down position, you can add the down cue. You can use any cue you like. I use down. So treat on the end of his nose, down. Say the cue once, yes, and then reward. Good girl. Ready? Reset. Sit. Good. Down. Yes. Reward. Good girl. Ready? We're going to do it one more time with food, and then we're going to try without food. Sit. Good. Down. Yes. Reward. So I'm going to have food ready, and my hands smell like food, which does help. Sit. Good. Ready? Delta. Hey. So I'm going to use the food just to get her focus. Here we are. Sit. Good. Flat hand. Down. See if she can figure it out. If she can't, we're going to go back again to luring. Here we are. Sit. Good. Down. yes, reward. And then we're going to do it again without food. So I've got the food in my hand, I'm going to pop her into a sit, exchange the food out, down, yes, and reward. So the way I'm exchanging this food out, I'm doing it quite carefully so she doesn't quite notice. So it's food in my hand now, I'm going to pop her into the sit, swap it food out into my other hand, down, yes, and then I'm going to give her the treat. Good girl. And this is the first stages of just phasing out that food lure so she starts to learn the hand signal and the cue and not just follow the food. Sit, good, down, yes, reward. Good girl. He's a clever puppy. Make sure you don't skip a stage. It's really important that you don't try and fast forward and do the end bit all in one go. Practice the stages. It might take you a few days with your puppy. Make sure you're not repeating cues. So I don't want to hear you saying sit, 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 or down, down, down. Try and train in silence where you can. The more information we can give our puppy that's clear, the easier it's going to be. So I want you guys to go away and practice. Video your training sessions so we can see how you're getting on. Pop them in the comments below so we keep the page nice and tidy, and we'll give you some feedback. Good luck.